Hello Tokusatsu community, welcome back to Toku Topics. Today is February 7th, 2018, which means that this is the 7th anniversary of when I first became a fan of Tokusatsu. I'm Joshua Perry, and this is my Toku Story. So, the roots of my Tokusatsu fandom history date back to 2011, but if I want to go even further a little bit more, I could go to 2010. And in 2010, I had heard about the Saban buying back Power Rangers and then it being sold to Nickelodeon. And I've heard of Power Rangers. I was 9 at the time in 2010. I was 9 and I had heard of Power Rangers, but I was never into it at all. I always kind of thought it was stupid, to be perfectly honest. But I, like a lot of people my age at the time, had grown up with Nickelodeon for years. So when I found out that Power Rangers was moving to Nickelodeon, along with its massive, I think at the time was 700 episodes catalog, I was like, great, Power Rangers will be on Nickelodeon. I guess I'll have to maybe check that out, I don't know. And I never really cared at all. I was like, whatever, I'll keep watching my SpongeBob. But in late 2010, and at the time I had no idea what any of this was. I didn't know how many seasons there were. I didn't know what teams were what. I just knew Power Rangers was a thing. I didn't even know it changed every single year. I just thought it was the same thing forever. And what happened was, in 2010, I remember very vividly the back half of 2010, Nickelodeon promoting a ton of samurai things because Nickelodeon wanted to promote their new shows. And I remember it was November 2010, they were promoting a commercial for Power Rangers Samurai to be premiered on their channel in February of 2011. And I was like, hey, that actually doesn't look too horrible. And of course, I've always been a fan of Marvel and DC and stuff like that, so I like superheroes a lot. And I was like, that actually does not look like it's the worst thing ever. So, after seeing commercials forever and ever and all the time, because Nickelodeon just hypes up something so much, I was like, alright, I guess I'll finally give it a chance. I remember very vividly, on the night of February 7th, 2011, I was playing on my Wii, I remember that. I was playing Star Wars The Force Unleashed game, which is a pretty fun game in my opinion. And we're playing that, and my dad asked me if I wanted to have him record the first episode of Samurai so I could watch it later on. I was like, yeah, I guess I'll check it out. I was still 9, which is crazy to think now. And I was like, yeah, fine, I'll go ahead and check it out. So I remember being in my room later that night, watching it by myself for the first time, and I was like, that was actually pretty cool. And then I watched I didn't know at the time that it was episode 3 that aired first, and not episode 1, but, I just kept going. Each week I'd watch the newest episode and be like, hey, that was actually pretty good, and all that stuff. And I never really got so attached to it until 2012. I remember that. In 2012, I don't know what hit me, but, Super Samurai was a thing now. And it just, I don't know. It felt so much more important to me than it had the previous year. And I guess I just loved it so much more. And I remember very vividly, 2012 was why I'm here today, being the fan that I am. Because 2012 was so important for so many different reasons and advancing myself in the fandom. What I remember is that for my 11th birthday in 2012, I really wanted to get the Zords. I wanted to get the Zords because I loved the designs and how they combined and stuff like that. I love that. So it's I wanted the Zords. And I remember watching YouTube videos of channels, and I was looking up the toys of the Zords, and I was like, these are really cool. And I remember very vividly the original channels that I'd watched back in 2012. I watched Ranger Reviewer 07 and Shukun Shinobi. Brian, Shuki, Collector Shuki. So I checked them out and I loved their videos a ton. And I remember watching a video of the Gigazord, and I had no idea what that was. And then it premiered in Super Samurai, and I was like, whoa, I have to have that. So throughout 2012, I was able to slowly build it up. I got my very first Power Rangers toy on my 11th birthday, and my very first Power Rangers toy was the Toys R Us exclusive, I think it was Toys R Us exclusive, Samurai Megazord and Claw Megazord battle set. So the Claw Armor Megazord combined set, and I was ecstatic. I was like, I finally have the Zords. I've played with those two Megazords so much. There's so many clips on my Samurai Megazord that are broken, but I don't really care. I'm looking at it right now. It's over there on my shelf. Still have it, of course. I have it all. Everything. I never gotten rid of anything in my Toku collection. Never will. I'll just keep growing. And from there, I bought a ton more stuff. I bought the other auxiliary Zords, the figures, like the Mega Mode figures, stuff like that during the summer hiatus. I just kept buying stuff. And then Super Samurai came back. But in that summer hiatus, I was watching Ranger Reviewer 07 one day. And he had won the, I believe it was the Clash of the Red, no it wasn't. It was one of the DVDs. He had won it in a Ranger Crew Twitter contest. And I was like, whoa, like there's people on Twitter that like this stuff. So I created a Twitter account in 2011 at Weatherman34, and I never used it. And in 2012, I used it to follow a bunch of Power Rangers people, and so I used it to follow, like, I mean, at the time I only had school friends on there, but I followed Power Rangers, the official account, Ranger Crew, and then I followed like Shukun Shinobi and Ranger Reviewer 07, people that I knew of in this fandom. And then I knew that there was so much more to this. And even in 2012, I really wasn't extremely active on my Twitter, to be perfectly honest. I just wasn't. And I remember the end of 2012, I remember during the summer hiatus, I see I'm remembering things as I say it. During the summer, I'm just going along with this video. In the summer hiatus, I remember that I was watching past seasons on Netflix. That way I could kind of learn more about the legacy. And I was finally able to like identify different teams in different seasons. I watched Dino Thunder, RPM, Time Force, Overdrive, all that other stuff. Dino Thunder still is my favorite. I love that one. And I remember I would sit down on my computer and I would just look through eBay about all these old toys. Until one day when I stumbled upon a Shinken Blue Ranger key. And I was like, what is that? And then I was like, and I found a Abba Red Ranger key. I was like, what? That's Dino Thunder. That's Samurai. What's a Shinken? What's an Abba? And that's when I found the magical thing that is Super Sentai. And that it was Power Rangers, but in Japan. And that they took the Japanese footage and made it into an American show. And I had no idea. And I was like, what? That's what they did the whole time? I never knew. I had honestly no idea. And that's when I found what Super Sentai was. And I was just blown. I was like, whoa. Like, there's a whole other show out here that I didn't know about, and seasons that I never knew about. And that's when I watched the Superhero Getter. And I was like, whoa. I was like, these keys are like figures of all these teams. And like, oh my god, this is so cool. So, what I had done is, this is reaching the end part of the year, I found what season these keys were from, whatever those were, and I found it was from a series called Gokaiger. So I checked it out. I found it online and I watched it in a month. It was December 2012. I watched the entirety of Gokaiger in the days leading up to Christmas. I remember very vividly doing that. Watched all of it. And throughout the entire month, I kept asking for Ranger keys. I kept bugging my parents. I was like, I want Ranger keys. I want them. And then on Christmas Eve, I got my very first Ranger key set, which was also my very first Japanese toy. I had got the Ranger key set 5, which is the one with the 6 Rangers and the gold anchor key. And then on Christmas morning, I got the Shinkenger set, so I had the Samurai Rangers. And then I had also received a bunch of other Power Rangers toys. And as my big Christmas gift that year, my parents had surprised me and had pre-ordered me the Ranger Key Set Legend Edition, which would come out in 2013. And I was like, yes! My only complaint is I didn't have the Red Rangers to go with those teams, but at least I had all that set, and I'm happy I got that set when I did, because I didn't know how rare stuff was, or what I was about to get myself into. So, 2012, it went by, and 2013 happens, and that's another extremely important year. In 2013, I continued to buy Ranger keys, about Mobiarts, about some other keys, and then I just kind of, continued to watch, Power Rangers. Megaforce was a thing. And it was 2012. I forgot about that too. It was 2012 Comic-Con where I got to see the prototype. I remember on Twitter I saw Bruno talk about the prototype of the Legacy Power Morpher, which I wanted since day one of its reveal, and I finally bought one 4 years later. But I have it now, and so it was like just knowing what all this was. I just never expected me to get into this so much. And in 2013, I decided to do a bunch of other random crazy stuff related to this. I was excited for Megaforce. I bought the Gosei Morpher, bought tons of other Power Rangers toys, bought hundreds of card packs you don't even know. I remember for my 12th birthday, I got a big scavenger hunt to find card packs hidden all over my house, which was what my parents did for me. I had to go find all the different card packs. There was like riddles and stuff. And I remember doing that. And at the end, I opened up all the packs and I got the rarest card of Series 2, which was the red battleized Mr. Force Ranger, the Dragonfire Mr. Force Ranger, and I was so happy. So continuing through 2013, I just continued to love Power Rangers and buy tons of other toys. This time, now we transitioned over to Megaforce, and I bought tons of Zords and figures and stuff, everything I did for Samurai pretty much. And then in April of 2013, I found out, I don't even remember how I found out about this, but I found out about something called Kamen Rider. And I didn't know what that was at all. But I had found a show called Kamen Rider Double on Facebook, so I was like, alright, I'll give this a try. It was great, and I loved it. And then I found out that the current running series was Kamen Rider Wizard, but by the time I had figured that out, it was like September and it was about to end. But I saw these scans for a new show called Kamen Rider Gaim. And I was like, what is that? Fruits and samurai and lock seeds? What is all this? And so, when the Gaim premiered, I watched it live. And also, that year was the very first time I watched Sentai as it aired, which was with Kyoryuger. So Kyoryuger and Gaim was the very first time that I watched Superhero Time as it was a thing. And man, look where I'm at now. That Christmas, I used my allowance and my Christmas money to buy a ton of Kamen Rider Gaim arms change figures. And then eventually, it took 2 years, but I eventually completed the entire arms change line, including all the premiums and all that other stuff, for a lot of money. But I did it. So for Christmas and birthdays for the next 2 years, I would be buying arms change figures. All the time. All of the time. Then 2014 rolled around. And, well, I forgot about something major. In November 2013, I started on a project called Project Info, which is a tokusatsu encyclopedia I'm still working on to this day. It's seen minimal effort, but I try sometimes. It's an encyclopedia. I want to create an ultimate guidebook to Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Ultraman, Metal Heroes, all that other stuff. That's why I will watch all of this stuff, and I want to make it the best I can. I don't really like to talk about it that often because it's more of a personal project. So you can ask me about it if you'd like, but I like to keep that more of a personal thing, but still, it's part of my story. So that's what this video is all about. Since we're running 14 minutes already, gotta speed it up. So 2014 rolls around, and I watched Super Megaforce, and I was disappointed, as everyone else was. And I watched Drive, and I, collected a bunch of stuff. 2015, I bought the Drive Driver, which was my first rider belt. Bought the Senkoku Driver. I bought shift cars, more toys, Dino Chargers, because Dino Chargers was a thing. Continued to watch Sentai. Hated Ninja, still hate it. Kept going. But in 2015, I decided to change my Twitter handle to @RiderRanger335, which is the name that I've established myself in the fandom, and I love that name. Pretty much anywhere on the tokusatsu world that you can find me is there. Is with that name. Then 2016 rolled around. I gained 100 followers on Twitter, and I just continued to keep loving this stuff so much, buying a ton of it. And I was, ever since like late 2015, I've been so active on Twitter, posting thousands of tweets a month, just talking with Toku fans. I've built up a following on Twitter, a small following, but it's a loyal following that I love the people that follow me, and I love following people. And I love talking about Toku with you all. And this fandom, and this show, and this genre, all these shows, all these toys, all the conversations, all the videos, all the episodes, all the saving money, all the wasting money, all the cries, the sadness, the happiness, the anger at Bandai, the anger at Spawn, the happiness at Toei, the frustration of excitement. This is my favorite thing in the world. It's just that true. I love Tokusatsu so much. It means so much to me. And being able to make YouTube videos like this, and being able to talk to you all on Twitter who share the same interests as me, who look at this room behind me and think, that's cool, not crazy, is honestly what keeps me going. I love it so much. And on this day, beginning the 7th year of this, I'm never gonna stop. I'll keep loving this stuff even till after I die. I could not ever have imagined 7 years ago a show that I thought was stupid would turn into something that people know who I am for and define me as being a fan of. It's insane. It really is. And this video has been in the back burner for a long time. I meant to make it last year, but never got around to it. But this year I have, because this channel means a lot to me. This fandom means everything to me. This genre means everything to me. So this video was made just to celebrate that, and of course to celebrate the hashtag Megaforce lives, which I think is kind of what this video is about, I feel. And I will continue to support this forever in any way that I can. Can't support it the way I want to all the time. I don't have the disposable income to buy all this stuff all the time. I don't. I'm only 16. I don't have a job. But one day I will. One day I'll be older, and I'll be able to support this even better. Achieve my dreams. And I want you guys to come along with me on that dream. Because year 7, this is just another chapter in my long story, my Toku story. Thank you for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at either RiderRanger335, at Toku Topics, or at Soda Fountain. As always, you can check out my blog posts over at the Toku Story news blog, link in the description below. And, as I say at the end of all my videos, we'll continue to say and support forever. Until next time, Tokusatsu forever.